Hello, what's on the table today? Well, today we have Battle for Stalingrad, which was published by Excalibre Games, although originally it was published by SPI Games. But this was sort of re-released, I think 2007 or something. And it was designed by John Hill, famous first squad leader, and also doing things a little bit outside of the box. And that is very much the case with this particular game. I've had it for a while and I have tinkered before, and I've just got through the first term of the main scenario. I've just done the Soviet final reaction phase with a few replacements they've got, and really enjoying it. It's actually probably well suited to solitaire play in many respects, because not to say that the Russian gameplay is a bit tedious or boring, because I think if you were doing it face to face you'd be agonising over your defensive lines in every hex, trying to make sure that you use your precious resources to the best of your ability. But essentially it's an impulse type game where the Germans essentially drive the momentum of the game, if you like. They're sort of calling the shots, and when they attack, after each attack you draw a chit. I think about 1 in 6 of them allow for some sort of Soviet reaction. You have a series of chits which just say either no reaction or reaction. I actually put mine in these little, I don't know whether you can see those, little kind of coin holders, which they're going to get a fair bit of handling, sort of sweaty palms and all that. So red one Soviet react, and grey one no react. Stick them in a bag and pull a chit. In fact, up until the capture of the Mamiev Kurgan, which is a dominating hill in the central position, you actually draw two chits after every German combat. So that gives you that incentive to try and take the Mamiev Kurgan as early as possible, which I failed to do on turn 1, showing my my sort of naivety as the German commander. But even so, I've made some decent progress. We've had some losses. Haven't done the German replacements yet. Some of them will come back. But this is such a different game to any of the other more sort of traditional hexagon map and counter games. I mean, I've had and played Turning Point Stalingrad, which was an area movement, much like Breakout Normandy and Storm of Arnhem and that genre. And I also had a copy of Streets of Stalingrad, so they're the sort of two ends of the spectrum. And although I admired the street, I had the L2 Streets of Stalingrad version by Art Lupinacci and Dana Lombardi. I used to have the when it was done for the second time, it was republished as 2 separate games, and I had Battle for the Factories with the smaller counters, and I was quite excited when they announced they were going to do the sort of mega-sized version with the big counters. I thought it might make it more playable, but actually I did the grain elevator scenario, which is the one you're supposed to cut your teeth on, and that was kind of okay. But the prospect of playing the full campaign, for me, it was just too much work. And this holds quite a nice sort of middle ground. There's lots of detail here, which you don't get with the area designs. But there's a lot going on, and I have to say, the rules are pretty good. I'm a bit of a stickler for trying to understand everything, sometimes to my own detriment, and I watched a couple of the other videos on other guys' gameplay, and I thought, not sure that's right. +2 for being out of supply. I thought that was if you're isolated, and a few little things like that. So I don't know how many people play this game correctly, because there's certainly a lot of potential for getting it wrong. And sometimes the language in the rulebook doesn't do itself many favours. I mean, for example, armour unit types for the Germans have got 2 different numbers on them, a higher strength and a lower strength, and which value you use is dependent on the situation. And the rules say fire strength A, that's the bigger one, is used when attacking into a clear terrain hex, or when stacked with at least one participating infantry, engineer, worker, or reconnaissance unit. Okay, so when attacking, right, that seems quite specific. And you use the lower strength, is used when attacking into any terrain except clear, when not stacked with those types mentioned above. Okay, so it's talking about attacking there. So defensive fire, is that always full strength? Wasn't sure. And it then goes on to do a similar description for the German infantry, which again they have 2 values. But now it says you use the higher one, is used when the unit is firing into any hex. Okay, so you're now talking about firing, you're not talking about attacking anymore. And I knocked this around a few times, and I was convinced that there must have been a reason why they used the term attacking for the armour. And fortunately, there is a guy, he may be one of the few that actually understand, because unfortunately John Hill passed away very sadly a few years ago. Don Johnson is the guy on Constant World who does a great service, I think, to gamers in general, because he's a great source of information, and I have pestered him many a time, not just on this game. I think he puts it in his top 5 games of all time. Didn't appear in my top 10 because I just haven't played it enough, but I can see that it's so different from any other, hex and counter game where one side moves and attacks with a CRT with a D6 and then trying to surround with Zocs, and then the other guy gets to do all his stuff. This is very, very different. You've got this sort of pulsing activations where you roll when you declare a combat. You roll to see if you get a surprise, a normal combat, or an ambush on a D6, the 1 and the 6 being the surprise and the ambush, and that affects the order in which the fire is resolved, whether it's simultaneous or whether the defender doesn't get any defensive artillery fire. And the actual CRT is just losses, just units coming off the map. There's no disordered or shaken or different morale states. You are just dead if you're off the map. Some units can come back. Some of the Germans will reappear as replacements. But very interesting game. The rulebook itself, I mean, it looks a little bit daunting because it's it looks quite big. It's sort of 50 plus pages, but the rules actually only cover the first 33, 34, so it's pretty comparable to many other modern games. And I think for what it does, it's worth the effort, but be prepared to put in a bit of effort, because it's not going to fall into your lap. A bit of homework and a bit of study is required, which doesn't bother me. I quite enjoy it. Do a bit, think, not sure, read lots of rules, still not sure. Consim Royal, tap 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 tap, ask a question, and I hope Don Johnson is around for many, many years to come, because he's a very useful resource There's also in the Excalibre version a rule supplement and game analysis booklet, and there are articles in there, in fact written by Don Johnson and others, to talk about advantages and tactics and plans, and it's a very interesting read. I had to pop down to the hospital today for an appointment, and as is normally the case, you end up going there for 3 or 4 hours for a sort of a 20-minute procedure. So this actually was my companion whilst waiting in the NHS waiting area. Kept me entertained as I was waiting for things to happen, so I managed to read most of that today. I don't think this was available, or I'm pretty sure it never appeared in the SPI version, and I don't know if you can get it separately for those people who maybe have got the older version, but it's well worth trying to. Maybe there are soft copies available, or someone can make that happen. Let me show you around the map and give you an idea of what's happened. Got no idea if I'm doing well or badly. I'm just learning. This is a learning mode for me, so that's how I'm going to treat it. But it's been pretty enjoyable. Just finished turn 1. It's a 7-turn game. We'll stand back a bit so you can get the idea. It's a single map sheet, so it's a standard what's that, 34 by 22 inch map, so nothing too off-putting. And you can see in the southern area, this is predominantly 29th Motorised Division has pushed in. You can see the stars on the map. That was the initial Russian position. So the Germans have pushed in towards the banks of the Volga. Essentially everything gets to do something, I say once, but there are caveats on that. You can get breakthrough points in combats, which gives you additional options to attack again if you overkill. So it's very interesting, can be very fluid. So the victory point, you can see there's one there. So those are victory point hexes, which are the target for the Germans, as well as these ferry crossings. So there's a ferry crossing here, and there's a certain number of units you can move in there. So 6 reinforcements can enter there on each reaction. The Mamiev Kagan is just there. Germans did drive in to the north of it and have got themselves set up for an attack on turn 2. Just didn't have quite enough puff really to drive on into those clear hexes. The Germans get a lot of aircraft in the first 2 turns, and they will be able to open up some more holes in the approaches to the Mamiev Kagan, which I think they'll do. They'll try and let the aircraft take some of the strain. There's Russian artillery embedded in the embankment hexes. They're quite strong positions. You can use the German dive bombers to take them out, but of course you need to choose your targets carefully because they are a limited resource. The northern sector, you can see the stars. That was a big bug out, but those guys are out of supply now, which means they can't do anything essentially. And there's another little pocket of out of supply units up here. Can the Russians muster some counterattacks to break back in? I'm not so sure. I mean, these hexes are only sort of light structure hexes, which don't offer much in the way of defence. These are the heavy structure ones, which are the green ones, which are much more easily defended. So you might be throwing, good money after bad. The red ones are fortified, so they're tough. So for example, the tractor works down here, which has got worker units in it, this will produce light tanks. And the Red October factory, which is here, that's producing medium tanks at the end of every turn, so great incentive for the Russians to keep control of those. Chuikov, Russian headquarters, gives you a bit more freedom. You can move units, I think within 2 hexes of him, as well as a die roll. Essentially, when you get a Russian impulse, you roll a d6, and that's the number of stacks that you can do things with. Plus, you can bring on your reinforcements, plus anything within 2 of Chuikov that's unmoved can also do something. So there we go. It's all to play for turn 2. Turn 3 sees the withdrawal of the 29th Motorised Division. So they've got one more turn to make their presence felt. Have a quick look at the reinforcements. So we've got the 13th Guard coming on next turn, 193rd Division. These guys, these 2 8s are not too bad, but they've got no zones of control. So although most of the units are now going to be in structured hexes which don't have Zocs anyway, the Zocs are really only affect movement in the clear terrain, so they're just useful troops to have. And these are the Transvolga artillery, which appear at the end of the turn, and they're automatically fortified, so they can't be attacked by air, because there was a lot of anti-aircraft, I believe, on the east bank of the Volga. So you can maybe barrage them with artillery, but you can't get at them with your dive bombers. But they've got plenty of other targets. So, and the German situation, they're about to have as a reinforcement the 100th Jaeger, elements of 9th Flak Division, and the heavy mortar detachment. And then turn 3, nothing. In fact, the net negative on turn 3 with a loss of 29th Motorised. And then bits and pieces coming in for the last few turns. So there you go. Very interesting. I'll keep you updated on the progress.